This case is costing my client money for me. It's cost my client money and time, losing a half a day or more of work.
For the court this morning and to review defendant father's parenting time. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Dwight Coon, representing plaintiff mother Crystal Rice. Ms. Rice appears to be present with Mr. Coon. Good morning, Mr. Coon.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Is Thomas Villarreal present on audio? Appears that Mr. Villarreal has not appeared this morning. This matter was scheduled for review at 9:30. It is now 9:55 a.m. Mr. Villarreal has not appeared. He's not contacted the court. Mr. Coon, have you heard from Mr. Villarreal this morning, or has your client?
We have not. Neither is my client, Your Honor.
And the court would note that this review hearing was scheduled back on April 30th. Mr. Villarreal was present at that time. Mr. Coon, has Mr. Villarreal had any supervised parenting time at Family Counseling Shelter Services? Do you know?
He has, Your Honor. Family Counseling Shelter Services apparently produced a report of that parenting time. If the court would like, I can summarize what occurred during those visits relatively briefly.
Right, please. When was that last visit?
The last visit that occurred was on 7/11. In short, Your Honor, back on the first visit happened on 6/12. And at that visit, Mr. Villarreal told his son that he didn't really want to see him, that they could just talk by phone. The next visit happened on 6/19. He spent the entire time lecturing the child and had no real interaction with the child. On 6/26, the facility had an emergency. They canceled that visit and rescheduled it with Mr. Villarreal for 7/3. On 7/3, Mr. Villarreal did not show up. On 7/11, it had been moved to Thursdays from the previous Wednesdays. Dad came to the meeting, was there less than 5 minutes, and stormed out of the facility. The facility, because of his behavior, was going to terminate sessions going forward. But they were in the process of doing that. But something happened that I'm not aware of, haven't seen a report on. Something happened at the facility by Mr. Villarreal on or about 7/18. Mr. Villarreal apparently called the facility and made some kind of threat to them, so much so that the worker who had been supervising refused to be involved anymore with Mr. Villarreal. And the management had to get involved. Be that as it may, they did reschedule a hearing, or a parenting time session for Mr. Villarreal, again, with his knowledge and timing. That was set for 7/25, and Mr. Villarreal did not show up. He has not showed up today. Mr. Villarreal was sent a schedule of the child's football scrimmages that are going on in the summer. Mr. Villarreal has not appeared for any of those. If you review the last court hearing, we talked about that. My client was advised not to do anything to discourage that, and she hasn't. This information was provided by the child at mom's request to Mr. Villarreal so that he could show up in the stands and watch his son play football. This child is now captain of his football team, is being currently scouted by colleges, has a tentative offer to what college?
University of Tennessee.
The University of Tennessee, Your Honor. Certainly this child is no slacker. And we're asking today that the court drop its prior requirement that the child have ongoing counseling. The child may continue in counseling anyhow, Your Honor, but it's one thing for the child and mom to decide the child continues in counseling. It's another matter for the court to order it. With Mr. Villarreal failing to appear today, failing to adequately participate in the court-ordered supervised parenting time sessions, we're asking that this matter be closed as of today and that no further action be scheduled by the court concerning the child or Mr. Villarreal until such time as Mr. Villarreal files something with the court requesting that, and providing some explanation for his behavior and failure to appear. This case is costing my client money for me. It's cost my client money and time, losing a half a day or more of work for every one of these parenting time sessions, to take the child there because she doesn't live in Monroe. And Mr. Villarreal obviously doesn't want to participate. So we're asking, Your Honor, that you would remove the counseling order and close this case unless Mr. Villarreal does something in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Coon. The court will follow the recommendation of Ms. Patrick. And at this time, defendant father's parenting time is reserved until he petitions the court. Court notes that the minor child is 16 years of age. And further, the minor child shall not be required to continue or attend counseling unless Thomas and his mother believe that would benefit Thomas. I'll leave that to Thomas and his mother. So no future review dates at this time. Hopefully, Mr. Villarreal will come around. Obviously, Thomas needs a relationship with his father, but at this point in time, the court will suspend his parenting time until he petitions court. So, Ms. Rice, the court would still suggest, to the extent you can facilitate a relationship between Thomas and his father, that would be in the best interest of Thomas. But you can only do so much. I understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything further than this morning, Mr. Coon?
No, Your Honor.
Right.
Thank
Thank you. That will conclude this hearing. You'll be mailed a copy of this order. Thank you, Ms. Patrick.
You're welcome.
Good luck, Ms. Rice.
Thank you.